Hey guys, on this video, I'm actually going to go ahead and break down the whole difference between AI agents and AI workflows. By now, whether you've seen it on YouTube or just on the news or just in general in a lot of places, you probably heard the word about AI agents and AI workflows. And in a lot of times, people actually use really the word AI agent in place of workflows and vice versa, and I've done it too. But on this video, especially if you're newer to I really want to break down the important difference between AI agents and AI workflows because I really believe that it is important to understand the difference if you really want to take AI seriously and really learn to automate or build things using AI. So as you see here, so first of all, what is a workflow, right? So the thing with workflows that's different from really agents is that when you build an AI workflow, you're building something that's very linear, very assembly line like, meaning that you're going to take a very structured input and you're going to get a very structured output. So actually, for example, I actually built this here in a tool called N8N. So what this here is a YouTube to newsletter converter. And basically the way it works is that when I get a YouTube video, I transcribe a video, I send it into my vector store, and then I also send it over to this AI agent node here. Now granted, when I say AI agent node, it's really just the name of this node here in N8N, but really this whole thing is a workflow. I wouldn't consider this whole thing an AI agent, all right? So I'm just using an AI node, so I'll just call that for now, right? So once I get the transcribed video, I have the text, I'm sending it to this AI node. This AI node is gonna go ahead and pull the entire video, the entire transcript, is gonna turn it into a newsletter, and then it's gonna go ahead and upload it to Google Drive, right? My saved Google Drive. So as you see here with this workflow, it's very linear, right? I cannot give this a Twitter link. I cannot give this an Instagram link or something like that. It has to be a YouTube link. It has to be in the right format, right? When I send it in, right? If it's not in that correct format, then this whole workflow is not going to work. So as you see there, it's very assembly line, right? So the input is predictable and the output's also predictable, even though it changes a little bit, right? So the newsletter is going to write based on one YouTube video. It's not going to be the same exact newsletter it's going to write on a different video, right? So again, the input is going to be very much the same. It's going to take a YouTube link, it's going to store it, it's going to really turn it into a newsletter, and then it's going to upload it, right? So very predictable. So a couple reasons why workflows are a little bit more limited, right? So they can really only handle one thing, right? So I kind of have here an example of a vending machine, right? All a vending machine can do is really receive a money input. You choose a number, you get the item back out, right? So everything is kind of prefixed ahead of time by design, right? So again, same thing here, the vector store, this, right? So like this whole operation, every single time this workflow runs, this whole thing is happening, right? So it's all the same here, right? So any changes as you do in any variables or whatnot can actually break the system, right? So again, if I went to submit a Twitter link or an Instagram link or something like that in my YouTube to newsletter workflow, it wouldn't work. Okay, so now how exactly are AI agents different? So the thing with AI agents is that they're not just linear workflows. They actually have a little bit more power to remember things. They can reason a bit better. They can actually make decisions. They can carry out multi-step operations, all just using the AI node, right? So for example, here in N8N, so this one I'm showing you is my real estate assistant AI agent. I created this AI agent here that really has the ability to take a natural language input with an address. And you can say, how many bedrooms does this property have? How many bathrooms? What is this property worth? How much rent can I get? If I wanted to buy this property in cash flow, $500 a month using market rents, what price would I have to buy this property at, right? What's the offer? So the input can be many different things in a plain natural language. And this AI agent node here has all these different tools at its disposal. And I'm actually going to go ahead and break down the whole thing with tools, memory, and all of that. But just to kind of show you here as a visual, this AI node here has a lot more power, right? So this AI node here can actually look up property valuation data, rental data, generic property data like bedrooms, bathrooms, year built, right? It connects to a database, right? So it's storing. So whenever you put in a property address, it's actually breaking that address apart and storing it into a structured database that you can query later. Has a deal analyzer tool, has a skip trace tool, so it can actually perform skip traces for you. So as you see here with this AI agent node, it can do many different things, right? It's not just, it can only take in an address in a very specific format, and it's only going to give you back how much the property would rent for, or how much the property is worth, or how many bedrooms and bathrooms that it has, right? This can do many different things. And this actually is really just kind of scratching the surface, because even though with this agent node, I can just kind of give it an address input and it can just give me back some output as far as just information, I can even go as far as to say, hey, go draft a offer letter based on the valuation that you gave me, and they can actually go do that. So really coming back to it, one thing about agents is that they benefit a lot more with autonomy, right? They can do many different things. They can understand goals. They can analyze context and conversations, many different things like that. So just kind of to break down why agents are so awesome and why they can do the things that they do. So number one is actually tool calling. So again, coming back here to my example, each one of these things that I have here are tools. Just how the same way that an employee at a company is given tools to do their job, AI agents can actually be given tools to carry out their job, right? So online, one of the cool things is that that tool can actually be an API call. And what I mean by API call is that you can actually connect your agent to a external system, right? So you can actually connect your agent, let's say, to a weather tool to where you can say, hey, what's the weather going to be in Miami, Florida today? And the agent can actually call the right tool, right? So again, in my real estate example here, this AI agent has all these different tools, but it's only going to call the right tool depending on what I'm asking for. In order for that, it needs to understand not just the question, but it also needs to understand the context as well. So that's one really cool thing that AI agents really have, opposed to just AI workflows. The second thing that really makes AI agents really cool, and this is one of my favorite things about them, is actually memory. So as you see here, I don't have memory in this one, but you can actually connect your AI agents to memory. And a lot of times it could be in a tool like Redis, or it can be in a Postgres database, right? These are just different kind of data services where you can actually have the AI store its memory. And that's super duper important when it comes to context. So in the case, for example, again, in my real estate assistant AI agent here, the fact that it can actually store information to a database and retrieve it basically means that whenever I ask my agent, I can say to my agent, hey, what is the rent on 123 Main Street? And the agent can say, okay, that property will rent for $2,000 a month. Then I can say, okay, how much is that property worth? Oh, the property's worth $300,000. The reason I can say how much is that property worth without having to specify again the address is because the AI has memory. It has somewhere we can actually go to and recall prior conversation. And that's really how, when you chat with ChatGPT or Claude, that's really what they have. In the background, they actually have memory really based on your account. So even though you have all these separate chats, all those separate chats can actually feed back to the same memory. AI memory is also super cool if you want your AI to just kind of learn with you. So as you feed it data over time, that memory can grow. Now, one quick thing to note though is that as that memory gets bigger and bigger, that AI just kind of has to analyze all that previous context and bring it forward. So it's also a reason why as you chat more with some models, they kind of typically slow down because they're pulling from so much prior stored memory, right? I mean, just think about all the things that you remember. You probably remember a lot of things. If you were to take your memory and somehow put into a computer, like, it'd probably never run because of all the things that we just remember, right? Which is a really cool reason why the human brain is super amazing. But nonetheless, that's one of the really cool superpowers about using agents, is that they can actually remember things, recall events, and use that for future context moving forward. And then one other thing that's super cool here is on my screen, I put multi-agent collaboration. N8N actually released a really cool feature on their platform where one AI can actually call another AI as a tool. And that's actually super cool. And the reason being is because you can actually specialize your different AI agents to do different things, right? This is super important. So one thing, whenever you're building out your AI agent, right? If you want to build out AI agents that can handle maybe really complex tasks, if you can split it up to get better results, you should, right? One thing that I like to do is that I like to have my agents really specialized and focused on something. And so if I am having, let's say, for example, I'm at a big company and there's many different databases or storehouses with information, I don't just want to have one agent that's just in charge of absolutely everything. That's crazy. What I probably want to do is maybe break up the different data sets, maybe by the department of the company, and then just have one manager agent that's able to delegate a task to the right agent, right? So for example, if you are in the finance department and you want to know something that's going on in the research and development department, well, you can actually have your manager agent go ahead and call, let's say, the R&D department, get the information, pass it to the finance agent to actually do some information, to do some tasks with that information. The point is that with the power that you can actually put in one agent, you can actually build a collection of agents, all with their own memory, with their own tool, that you can then have a manager agent then delegate a task to. And I really think that whole multi-agent collaboration orchestration is actually one of the biggest superpowers when it actually comes to building out real AI agents and just agent systems that can really help automate and save you a lot of time or money in your business. Now, with that being said, this does not mean that workflows are dead and you should ignore them. Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, most of the N8N and the AI stuff that I build is actually mostly workflows. And the reason I like that is because a lot of times I'm kind of doing a task that's really repetitive. And so it's really nice to just be able to just create this linear flow and hand it off to a workflow and be able to just get the result that I'm looking for every single time. So most of the time I am building workflows that just handle things for me, and the return on investment for the time and whatnot is just very, very good when it comes to workflows. And actually, as a matter of fact, I recommend that people actually start building workflows before they actually start building agents if you really want to learn this, because workflows are very repeatable, they can scale a bit better. When I've built AI agents, and one of the things with AI agents is that you really have to run it a lot and just kind of train it. You have to adjust your prompts, adjust how it calls certain tools, when it needs to call certain tools, right? There's a lot more that you have to do to really get an AI agent working correctly, right? But for a workflow, it's a lot more linear, it's faster to set up, and you can actually capture the value from it very quickly. So this whole kind of video is not to say don't use workflows, use agents. It's really just knowing more about how agents are strong and really when to use them. So exactly when should you use which one, right? So if you're in a task that's very repetitive and it's just a lot of the same thing, right? It's like, hey, get this input, produce this output, then that's a really good scenario for a workflow, which again is kind of why I'm building a lot of workflows, because a lot of things are very repetitive and they can be repeated. So building that into a workflow is just a lot more efficient. Now, when you have a task where things can change on every single task, or maybe every single time that you operate on a certain task or do certain things, and this requires a little bit more reasoning, a little bit more context, a little bit more specialization, then it's really good then and there to actually go and build an agent, because with using an agent, you can actually leverage all of those things, right? An agent can actually make decisions, it can action on certain things, it can pull from different tools depending on what the input is. So when it comes to creating some business impact with AI agents, right, these are just kind of a couple different areas, right? So number one is just adaptive intelligence. So one of the things that I talked about earlier in the video was really about memory, right? And so when you're doing a certain operation and it requires you to have a lot of previous context, it's really good to have an agent, because you can actually pass it memory, it can learn over time, it can adjust really what it's giving you. So if you have an AI agent that you really want to kind of put as your business analyst assistant or business intelligent assistant, right? When you first start running that agent, it may not give you exactly what you want, but as you run it, you give it feedback, and eventually you get to the point where it's actually starting to learn. It recalls from memory exactly what you want to give it. And when it produces a good result, it's good to give it a good feedback. When it produces a bad result, you want to update and let it know why something is bad, and give some context as to why you don't want a certain type of output. And that just helps that agent learn a lot more. And for my next couple of points where I put informed decisions and continuous learning, well, I kind of hinted on that already, right? The fact that AI agents can actually have memory, they can actually learn from previous things, you can actually adapt them and adjust them over time so that their outputs are just more and more of exactly the type of output that you're looking to get from them. All right, so just to kind of land the plane on this video, so just the final takeaway is that workflows are very instruction-based, they're linear, right? They take a very predefined input, they're gonna give you a very, really repeatable and consistent output. When it comes to agents, right, they're a lot more intelligent, they can reason, they can understand context, they can actually delegate and do things on their own. Yeah, that's just kind of the superpower between them both. So anyway, if you're just getting started about learning about AI agents and AI workflows, I highly recommend a tool called N8N. Again, in the video that I have here, this is what I'm actually building these in. Right? So you can actually use a tool like this to actually get started with automating tasks that you have, automating things, and then you can actually move into actually building AI agents. And then another platform, if you're more on the developer track, is there's a platforms like LangChain. One that I like a lot because a lot of my projects are really based in JavaScript and React. It's actually called Mastra. I actually built my real estate agent. I actually built a version of this in JavaScript and really TypeScript using the Mastra platform. And it's super cool because you can actually take your agent and actually plug it into the back end of a web-based tool. So one thing we're seeing a lot nowadays is the uprising of vibe coding and vibe coding tools. And so it's pretty cool because you can actually build a front end to really what on the back end is really just an AI agent to actually deliver value for people and actually charge for it. So there's actually a lot of value being created today with AI workflows and agents a ton. So it's definitely a good space to look into. With that being said, if you have any questions I didn't answer in this video, please drop a comment below and I will try to get to it in a future video. Also, do check out my N8N templates in the description below. And you can check out some of my other videos where I'm building some of these N8N workflows, or I'm actually building apps and really some cool, simple technology using AI. With that being said, thanks for checking out the video and I'll see you in the next one.